The night air was cool as the sounds of the city began to fade into a rhythmic hum. It was the kind of evening that promised peace, yet beneath the surface of the bustling streets, a story of tragedy and redemption was about to unfold. The Streets of San Francisco, a Quinn Martin production, starring Karl Malden and Richard Hatch, featured a cast of guest stars including John Rubinstein, Devin Erickson, Joanne Nale, and Linda Marsh. Tonight's episode was titled Wansicon. The evening began with a simple act of kindness. A young woman expressed her appreciation, her voice soft and genuine. She told her companion that she enjoyed the task and that it was not too much work at all. She promised to tell Rosie that she would have her little friend back by Saturday, good as new. But as she walked alone, the atmosphere shifted. A sense of unease filled the air. She called out, wondering if someone was there, perhaps thinking it was a prank. Her voice rose in a plea for help, a desperate cry in the night. An anonymous witness made a frantic call, reporting an attack on the southeast section of the campus, where Bundy crosses Fielder. In the aftermath, the solemnity of the situation was marked by the presence of a priest. The words of comfort and mercy echoed through the scene of the crime. The victim was a young woman named Mary Wilson, who would have been 21 next month. She was a theater arts major, a student who found beauty in the old-world craft of 19th-century puppetry. She was known for her kindness, often helping children fix their dolls. Her death was a shock to the community, a senseless act that left those who knew her in deep mourning. At the local correctional facility, the tension was palpable. Officer Nelson, a man with little patience for those in the school release program, made his disdain clear. He viewed the program as a scam, a way for hardened criminals to walk the streets during the day. Among those under his watch was Walter Young, a man who had spent much of his adult life behind bars but was now trying to build a new future through education. The investigation into Mary's death began in earnest. Lieutenant Mike Stone and his partner, Dan Robbins, started at the sorority house where Mary lived. They spoke with her roommate, a young woman from Wisconsin who had only known Mary for a few weeks. The roommate described Mary as a kind soul but could offer little information about anyone who might want to harm her. However, she did mention a missing ring, a piece of jewelry that Mary never took off. It was a special gift, given to her about a month ago. As the detectives dug deeper, they encountered Whitey Zellers, the head of campus security. Zellers, a man of rigid opinions, was quick to point the finger at the students in the release program. He had 3 suspects in mind, including Walter Young. For Lieutenant Stone, this was personal. He was the one who had sponsored Walter, believing in the possibility of rehabilitation. He had seen something in Walter, a spark of potential that he refused to let go. Walter, meanwhile, was struggling. He was in love with a young woman named Lisa, but the pressure of the investigation and the constant scrutiny of the law made him fearful. He told Lisa they had to stay away from each other for a while, to pretend they didn't even know each other. He was afraid of being sent back to the yard, back to the life he was trying so hard to leave behind. When Stone and Robbins questioned Walter, he provided an alibi. He claimed he was at the newspaper office with his cellmate, Raymond Busquez. However, when the detective spoke with Raymond, the story began to crumble. Raymond, facing his own parole, initially felt he had to tell the truth. He revealed that Walter had asked him to lie, that he hadn't seen Walter until after midnight on the night of the murder. This revelation cast a heavy shadow over Walter's innocence. The investigation then turned to other potential suspects. There was Judd Davis, a medical student with a history of drug use and a volatile relationship with Mary. Judd had been seen acting aggressively toward Mary in the past, but he, too, had an alibi. He had spent the evening with the wife of one of his professors, a fact that he was desperate to keep secret but eventually confessed to save himself from a murder charge. The detectives also sought out Tina Harrington, Mary's best friend. Tina was devastated by the news. She described Mary as a gentle person and mentioned her difficult breakup with Judd. She also identified the missing ring as a friendship ring she had given to Mary. The ring, while not monetarily valuable, held great sentimental weight. As the evidence seemed to mount against Walter Young, a discovery was made in his locker at the school. A knife, believed to be the murder weapon, was found hidden there. It seemed like an open and shut case. Even Walter, feeling the weight of the system and the threat of the gas chamber, was tempted to take a plea deal offered by the assistant district attorney, Billings. But Lieutenant Stone was not convinced. He felt there were pieces of the puzzle that didn't fit. His intuition was validated when Lisa Deming came forward. She told the detectives that Walter had been with her on the night of the attack. They had witnessed the mugging from her apartment window, and it was she who had called the police. The tape recording of the emergency call proved her story. The voice on the tape was hers, and the details she provided matched the scene perfectly. Walter was innocent of the murder. The question remained, if Walter didn't do it, who did? And why was the knife in his locker? The detectives returned to the jewelry store where the ring had been made. The jeweler's son had kept a list of customers. This led them back to the campus, back to the art department, and back to someone who had access to the student records. In a final, tense confrontation, the truth came to light. The killer was not a hardened criminal or a jealous ex-boyfriend. It was Jackie Collins, a graduate student who worked in the records office. Jackie had a deep, obsessive affection for Tina Harrington. She had become consumed by jealousy, fearing that Mary Wilson was taking Tina away from her. In a moment of madness, she had intended only to scar Mary, to take away the beauty she envied, but the situation had escalated into a fatal tragedy. Jackie had used her position to plant the knife in Walter's locker, hoping to shift the blame onto someone the police would easily suspect. The resolution was bittersweet. A young life had been lost, and another was ruined by obsession. But for Walter Young, it was a moment of true redemption. He had faced the ultimate test and, with the help of those who believed in him, had come through it. In the days that followed, the campus began to heal. Walter continued his studies, more determined than ever to succeed. He spent time at the physical therapy gym, helping others find the strength to keep trying, just as he had. Lieutenant Stone visited him there, offering a quiet nod of respect. They had both learned something about the power of trust and the importance of looking beyond the surface. As the sun set over the streets of San Francisco, the city continued its journey. There would always be challenges, always stories of struggle and triumph. But for now, there was a sense of hope. The program that allowed students like Walter a second chance remained, a testament to the belief that people can change, that the past does not have to define the future. The story concluded with a reminder that every life has value, and every person deserves the opportunity to find their way back. It was a tale of love, compassion, and the enduring strength of the human spirit.